This is things you might not have heard. I am Jacob Payne, and this morning, as I record this live, 5:37 here this Monday morning, we have for you, we have for you 10 stories in the queue from the past weekend that you deemed as conversational, covering information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. Some stories will cover Lil Durk, Shohei Ohtani, and Timothée Chalamet story that is just so sweet and wonderful that it just, you may actually get a sugar high from that one, plus seven other stories from the weekend. Now, we'll explain the vetting process towards the end of the show. We'll get to know how we got these stories here and all great stuff. But first, remind you that you can check us out at two places. One, our website. This is conversationproject.com. More details on how we do things and why they're done there. And of course, our email address where you can comment to us anytime you need to, the conversation inbox at gmail.com. If not said it so far yet, today happens to be Monday, the 28th of October. We are almost done with October, almost done with the year as things roll around. And we got great news for you and some not so great news for you from the weekend here. No particular order as these stories are coming down. We'll give you some context on how some stories got to where they got to be. Got to where they got to be. There we go. Headline for story number one. Israel launches retaliatory strikes on military targets in Iran. Israel initiated a series of retaliatory strikes against Iranian military installations following a significant missile attack from Iran that targeted Tel Aviv and Israeli military bases. The strikes on Iranian targets, which took place in the early hours, were Israel's response to the estimated 200 ballistic missiles that were launched by Iran previously. The escalating conflict has prompted international concerns, the United States urging the end to this missile exchange between the two countries. One of the good things about this, you can call it a good thing, is one, there was not an immediate strike back by Iran, which means Iran is kind of basically one strike to the strikes, and everybody's sort of peaceful about it for a while, which seems kind of odd in this world where you can just throw bombs at somebody and then just kind of hang out for a bit. But essentially, the United States are happy that the targets that the Israelis targeted were very strategic and weren't things that were going to basically, take them back 300 years. They didn't target any military parts and they didn't target any of the nuclear arsenal or what they expect in the arsenal. They target some places that would slow down production of bombs, slow down production of the military, but not necessarily, cripple anything significant, which I guess is good. What's not good is that Israel and Iran are now openly throwing bombs at each other and trying not to go to open war. Iran says they don't want war, Israel, but they still want to throw bombs at them and fund people that are trying to kill them. It's the way of the Middle East, apparently. Let's move on to a story headline for number two this morning. Headline for the story is rapper Lil Durk, who was arrested in a murder for hire plot. Now, you may not know who Lil Durk is. I don't know who Lil Durk is, but guess what? The people of the internet and people that follow us in our feeds, they really know Lil Durk or were really interested because this was one of the highest rated stories, highest engaged stories all weekend long. And this was an early story from Friday-ish, so it went the whole weekend with all those eyeballs checking it out. Grammy Award-winning rapper Lil Durk, whose real name is Durk Banks, so he is Lil Durk, was recently arrested in Florida for a charged murder for hire plot. Authorities allege that Lil Durk orchestrated a plan targeting rival racker Quadro Rondo as retaliation related to a 2022 incident. Federal agents arrested him on multiple charges connected to this conspiracy, sparking some media attention. The case details involve the allegations that Durk financed stay and, of course, attempted revenge killing as part of the escalating feud in his music industry. Apparently, there's still bad beefs in the rap game, but they don't go to fisticuffs. They don't go shooting themselves directly. They hire people to get things done, allegedly. So they're out there for you to see. If you're watching this what is live as we record this at 5:30 in the morning on Central Time on this Monday, feel free to chat about the stories we're talking about or super chat, super stickers. Help us keep things going involved. Otherwise, comment wherever you're from, whenever you're watching it, and let us know how we do more better to do more better for you. Headline for story number three this morning. This is one that we told you we would keep up with because it was just so disturbing. And that's what the headline begins with. Disturbing details emerge about Walmart worker found dead in store's oven. Gerzman Cowell, a 19-year-old Walmart employee, was tragically found dead inside a large walk-in oven at a Walmart in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Reports indicate that the Sikh community in Halifax is supporting her family, which has recently migrated to Canada. Audio evidence has surfaced suggesting that possibly that Kaur may have been locked inside the oven, though this aspect remains under police investigation. The exact circumstances of what happened at her death. We will continue to follow this story to get more details on this. We are very saddened to know we're glad to know more details. We're glad to have an actual identification. We are very saddened to know that the circumstance behind this may be even worse than we thought. So we'll keep you updated on this one. If you guys keep engaging in the story, we will let you know what it happens as it goes on. You engage in stories, we let you know what story is the most engaging. This next story, we had to take a little toss up because there are actually two newspapers that had mass exodus of editorial workers and main people working because of their withholding of presidential election endorsements. There's the LA Times, which is withholding it because the owner has a daughter who's very big in the Gaza mission and doesn't like, he's basically a fan of Palestine and doesn't want them to endorse Kamala Harris because of the way Joe Biden treated Palestine. So there's that. But we're dealing with the Washington Post with an updated story where they had a cartoon. Washington Post actually had an editorial cartoon that skewered the paper's decision not to make an endorsement. Now, the paper for Washington Post, they pulled the endorsement, or more likely, if you believe the owner, Jeff Bezos, pulled the endorsement, which was already written because Jeff Bezos is trying to hedge his bets that maybe Donald Trump may win. And even though he has this sort of public beef with Trump, he also has a lot of military contracts he doesn't want to lose because Trump can be a bully and may do some things like that. So, with that, the cartoon team put out a critique in its newspaper article or in its cartoon about foregoing that endorsement, just basically making fun of itself and how it could not make a decision, or more likely, its boss made a decision for them and did not allow them to actually make a choice. Now, here's where things are getting interesting. This is a time the explanations essentially behind both the Post and the Times were essentially this thing didn't happen. These political endorsements weren't anything that were available back when we opened the paper back in the early 18 aughts. These are things that came about in the middle 60s, 70s, 50s, things like that. Something that's a modern thing with modern politics. And now we're going to back away from it. However, what critics are saying is now they're backing away from it at this critical junction where this is the most important existential democracy at its weakest point, election going forward, and the Post is not giving its say, or the Times not giving its say. It also goes to say that who's actually waiting for the Post or the Times to tell them to vote for, and it's a week away. And if you're really undecided, you're undecided about whether you think it's worth the effort to get off the couch and drive to the voting polling station, as opposed to whether you like Donald Trump or Kamala Harris's actual positions. Nothing's going to change in the next couple of weeks because they're going to keep saying the same things. That you think Donald Trump is crazy, it's not getting any less crazy. You think Kamala Harris is kind of not a great person, not a great leader. It's not getting any better in a week. So at this point, the time is here. Cast the die and let it happen. My words going forward. And speaking of voting, a judge has ordered Virginia to restore 1,600 voter registrations canceled in an effort to purge non-citizens. Another big issue coming around time where it's time to basically make sure the voter rolls are correct is every so often you purge rolls of people that you believe aren't citizens, to people that are dead, people who have not actually registered to vote in a while, so you don't know what their status is, so that in theory, fake people don't show up and vote in their place. However, the federal judge recently ordered the reinstatement of 1,600 voter registrations that have been removed shortly before the upcoming election, within 30 days. Where the window is, you don't mess with the stuff within 30 days because that's when you start to disenfranchise people. In fact, a brief going through, and as you say, it was brief sift through names saw that of the 1,600 names that are on the list, basically about 20 of them were wrong. And with odds like that, those 20 probably won't throw an election, and those 20 probably weren't going to show up to vote anyway because they were not valid. They were wrong. So the judge has issued a halt to the actual further purges of anything here in this county to make sure that people who have right to vote can vote. Now, there are ways to go through the votes as they come through and check them in the back end and make sure that as you're counting them, they are valid, not valid. And it does make sense to get the ones that are invalid or possibly invalid out of the way beforehand. It's the possibly part that's an issue because what if they're not invalid? You have just canceled someone's vote, and it might have mattered in a local election, definitely, but in a major election, likely. Let's take a moment to pause from the news. We gave you 5 stories in and 5 more stories to go after this quick break. But we want to remind you that the Conversation Project is a living, breathing organism. It is a thing that takes your conversation and your engagement to work. So we need more people to conversate and engage her. 2 words that aren't quite true. But we need your help. We need you to like the videos that we're producing so that people can see what we're have to see. Show what they have to show, and you see the social proof that what we're providing is fairly well. Seeing how many people view it, see how many likes are there, seeing those things that there may seem a little small and petty, but it works for algorithms, it works for people's eyeballs, it works for getting us paid. We are monetized, but we are monetized based off of views and clicks. So the more people that see us out there that may like us, they may work for us on those ends. We also want you to share it with people who may like us as well, because direct sharing with people helps a lot in getting people engaged in what we're doing. The more people engage in our stuff, more people we have in conversation, the better we have a chance to, as we explain in a moment, getting the right stories that are most conversational to the folks out there. And of course, if you're not subscribed to this, so you make sure you don't miss out anything we have, subscribe to our various things. Go to our website and see where you can find us in all the various places we are, all the various forms we are, and subscribe to the ones that works out the best. Whether you just want to read the articles through our newsletter or get some quick hits through your TikTok, subscribe to those places and help us there as well. Back to the news. Back to Spider-Man. Now, if you were wondering whether we're getting another Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, right now your hopes are dashed because it looks like we're getting another Tom Holland, or the fourth Spider-Man movie set in still the Sony-ish universe because Sony still owns it, but MCU because Sony is working with Spider-Man, is going to come out in July of 2026. So your big summer blockbuster 2 years from now is going to be from Sony officially announcing the fourth Spider-Man featuring Tom Holland, July 24, 2026, the date there. Director is Destin Daniel Cretton, expected to continue Parker storyline in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, when we last left Peter Parker, he was not Peter Parker, or technically he was. Just nobody seemed to remember him being Spider-Man. All his friends, all the folks going on because of the actions of No Way Home, and of course a lot of multiversal weirdness action going on, erased him from the universe, at least in their thoughts. We'll see what happens as, of course, Spider-Man is expected to be a big part of Avengers Doomsday coming up very soon, and the Secret War is happening, which, of course, Doomsday is replacing the King Dynasty. We'll see what happens as Spider-Man continues and how much longer Tom Holland, who may be about 47 at this point, can play the young teenage-ish Peter Parker. Because essentially, he just graduated from high school. He's technically 18. Tom Holland, definitely not 18. Let's move on to some other news that we were expecting, and expecting it a little earlier, but when it comes, it comes. You can see this as good, see this as bad, but you can basically see that it was definitely going to happen. The headline for the story at number 7 this morning is on Brony James, who's reportedly going to the G League after the Lakers road trip. When the Lakers leave the road in a few days, he's going to the G League. He's going to the G League. He's going to the G League. I'm not sure how many people thought he was not going to G League, but essentially every analyst and everybody who knew anything about real basketball, and even a lot of people who were still on the hater bandwagon, who may not have thought about it, essentially said he's going to spend a lot of time in development. He probably shouldn't have been drafted. He got drafted because he was LeBron's son, yada, yada, yada. He is good enough to be on the court. A lot of guys are good enough to be on the court, but they're good enough to actually contribute. So a lot of actual, let's just say, development is happening because after the road trip that ends essentially tonight, or ends, I'm sorry, it starts tonight, it ends on the 6th. Next weekend, he will be in the G League playing for the Lakers affiliate very soon. How long will be down in the minor leagues for basketball? Who knows? Will he be called back up if the Lakers make a run for it? Most likely. Have we been happy with the history of him being on the same court as his father? It's awesome. It's great. The Lakers also need to win some games. And so if they don't win any games, all the love fest doesn't mean anything. It is, I mean, it's the truth. It is what it is. So Bronny James going to the G League in about a week. How long will he be down there? Only his talent will tell us. The World Series for 2024 has been amazing. Super amazing if you're a Dodgers fan. Just kind of cool if you're a Yankees fan. Is the Yankees are now down 2 games to nothing in the fall classic. I mean, I feel like fall, but it's a classic with two big time powerhouses with the top teams in baseball, with the top players in baseball being the Dodgers and the Yankees. They hadn't played against each other in like 40 years or something like that. So that's also big as well. Really big news, which is overshadowing the big news that the Yankees are losing, is that the biggest player, the highest paid player in baseball, already not seeing him pitch because they're trying to save his arm for next year. Shohei Ohtani was injured. He had a shoulder injury trying to steal a base in game two. He is expected to play tonight in game three, so he should be fine. Is expecting that he should be able to show what he has going on because he doesn't want to miss this thing. This is a big deal for people all across the nation, across the world, and the Japanese eyeballs and the ticket prices for these things for people coming in out of town, way out of town, are big. So Otane has to be here, has to show up if he can. He's a guy that just seems like the nicest guy in the world. Just wants to play baseball. It is what it is. Right now, as we said, Otani's in a great spot, says his manager, and thinks he will do well in game three. He'll take it a little easy though, but we are only at game three. The Yankees aren't swept yet. It's not a game four. They're not down 3-0. Anything can happen in the fall classics. We'll see if the Yankees can make their way to start to rebound and go overtake their rivals, the Dodgers, or will the Dodgers get closer to a sweep starting tonight? If you've not heard of something called gate lice, well, here's your chance. American Airlines is testing a new system to humiliate these lice. These are the people who try to board planes before their seating group is called. Now, American Airlines has this new system to manage these gate lice, they call them, and it's going to well, let's see how it works. The new system reportedly triggers an alert when passengers attempt early boarding, aiming to enforce boarding order and minimize congestion. Essentially, the people just sort of wander around and kind of keep on things, and they're in Group C, but Group B is getting in there, and Group B is just normal people. So try to butt up with them and just kind of walk in with them because they're B, they're in Group C, and people hate it. Really, for people who are like in Group F, but try to board with Group B because that's where it really gets pretty much annoying. And they're just kind of standing around in the way, getting in the way of people who need to board at the right order. This initiative is designed to discourage these passengers from gathering prematurely, making boarding more orderly for others waiting for the assigned groups. There really is no better way to deal with this or even talk about this. It's just flying right now is kind of a nightmare. Still one of the most amazing things we do as humans, but the actual act of getting on planes, getting off planes pretty much sucks. Maybe this will help. It's not Southwest where everybody just lines up and gets on the plane when they want to because that's total chaos and really weird. But this is something that may help curb some of those people who kind of sneak in and cheat their way into the lines. And finally, story number 10 this morning, something that really will kind of get your day off to a nice, happy start. We go to Timothée Chalamet, who decided to crash a lookalike contest after police shut down the crowded event. Now, we have talked about people in lookalike contests before and how people go to great lengths to do stuff. Dolly Parton once said she got harassed by some drag queens who said she didn't look like Dolly Parton at a drag queen contest that looked like her, which is always funny to bring up. You always want a chance to bring up Dolly Parton. But Timothée Chalamet showed up dressed up as Willy Wonka. He had the top hat, he had the big old case, and showed up at this big appearance, surprise, a lookalike contest held in New York City, where the fans were gathered dressed like him to see what they looked like. They had his signature hairstyle, high cheekbones, and everyone sort of looked like him, but not really, because these aren't Dolly Parton drag queens. These folks didn't put up that much, to be honest. But the event organizer didn't expect all the actual activity to happen actually before he showed up, where police shut it down due to the large crowd and lack of permits. You can't just say, "Hey, everybody, show up at the square and look like Timothée Chalamet, and we'll give you a big prize for it." There was a big prize for it. Well, there was a big check for it, a big check for $50. So the winner of this contest, which probably wouldn't explain why they were very low on permits to get this done right, got a big giant check for $50. And ironically, a chance to pose with Timothée Chalamet, who just sort of showed up. I guess he was, eating lunch down the street and was like, "Hey, those guys look like me. Let me see what's going on. Let me grab my Willy Wonka hat and go to the gathering and see what's happening." Because, how would people do that kind of thing? I told. Let's go to our teaser story for this morning. This is a story that we are teasing that we can talk about if you want to talk about it. And you have to put the work in to make this happen. Now, our teaser story, or all our stories in our feeds, come from you engaging in the stories we put out there for your engagement. Engagement. Yeah, that's pretty simple. Your engagement. So when you engage in a news story that we put out on our Facebook page, on our X page, or on our Threads feed, You tell us what stories to actually chat out. You give us the ideas that by the ones that get the most engagement, we will top them up. Facebook.com/This is Conversation Project, X.com/TH Conversation, and threads.net/at this is conversation. Follow us at those places because we need the followers, social proof, if you will. And look when you go to check those feeds for your own stuff, see what we're talking about, see what stories you have posted out there, and engage in them. The higher the engagement score, the better chance we have to talk about them in the future. Future for the story is up to you. For Tuesday, we will bring up how Adele burst into tears as she embraced Celine Dion in the audience of her Las Vegas residency. Celine Dion was sitting in the crowd, front row, of course. She's Celine Dion. And Adele's out there singing her heart out and doing her thing for the fans. Looks down and sees Celine. Celine Dion is there. Yes, I am here. I'm here for you, Adele. She comes down stage. He hugs her right there in front. Adele's actually performing in the venue that was built, literally the house that Celine built or built for Celine Dion. And so, because of all that emotion, all that love, it became a great big old love fest and tears and embracing. Celine Dion, who was, for we can tell, doing fairly better with her stiff person's disease, but not doing as great as we'd like her to be. She's obviously not doing a lot of work, a lot of touring because of that. But this was a great heartfelt scene of her being out there in public, in the audience, hanging out in her house, making sure Adele didn't mess anything up, make sure she didn't, muck anything up. Is this a story we're going to talk about? It's up to you to engage in it. You just simply go to the story as you see it in your feeds, like it, love it, hate it, share it, engage in it as much as possible. And if it's a high engagement number, we'll get to it. 8 of the top 15 stories from today that will be posted will essentially go into the feed, go into the news article list for today. Now, however, we did not talk about Beyonce this week, who did go to Harris's rally in Texas and said, I'm not here as Beyonce. I'm here as a mother. And I'm telling y'all that Harris is the one because Trump is crazy, or some words to this effect. But it's a big story. We had so many things that happened this weekend. Of course, this Beyonce rally was, of course, or Beyonce rally. One, people were mad that she didn't perform because, Megan Thee Stallion performed. Two, the big Madison Square Garden rally with Donald Trump that was amaze balls was essentially overtook everything with just how insane that thing was. So if that didn't make it, this one didn't make it. But you can make Adele happen. You can make Celine Dion happen. Celine Dion says, "Make me happen by engaging the story for tomorrow." Let's talk about our sponsor for this morning. We're talking about the chess. And the chess store is a longtime sponsor for the Conversation Project. Something we actually, as I was doing basically all my work, online stuff, and looking for sponsors to do things. My daughter was getting to chess and she was like in the 4th grade or something like that. And so we've been doing the chess store. We've been around for quite some time for us, and they're a great supporter and great love of us. Right now, the chess store has some great spooky deals for Halloween. So check that out. Believe it or not, Halloween's a good time to buy your new chess set. They're not exactly pumpkin shake because they give you real nice design chess sets. If you're looking for that brand new chess set to put your high quality set out on your coffee table, or if you're a new enthusiast looking for something that you can take along the way and play with, that's not cheesy plastic looking nasty looking thing. Wood, marble chess pieces, plastic sets that aren't cheap looking, travel sets that are beautiful designed, and all the decor you can throw with it. Exceptional customer service, fast, reliable shipping. The chess store ensures that everything you need for a flawless game is had by you every time. Stop by the chess store today and use our link because we get an affiliate commission from using this link. It is, excuse me, caught in a little sneeze there. It is. This is a conversationproject.com/slash the chess store. This is a conversationproject.com, the chess store. This is a conversationproject.com, the chess store. Don't let my inability to breathe back you away from a great service and a great product. And as I said, this is a affiliate link. So when you use our link, we get a small commission for your buy. They take great care of you, great chess sets, great chess customer service, and great knowledge on your chess game. So check them out today at the chess store. Now is the time. It doesn't seem like the best time, but it's the time we're going to brag on ourselves. And this is a Conversation Project promo time. Conversation Project lives online at thisconversationproject.com, where we provide for you news stories to engage in. And as you engage in them, we get conversation with them. We get chit chatty about them, if you will. We look at the stories that you deem are the most conversational. We don't just pick a bunch of things that are on a run sheet or watch someone else's news program and say, oh, that's good. Let's talk about it. We watch other people's news programs, look for stories to talk about, post them in our feeds all day long for you to check out. And as the news happens, as you engage in things, 'cause news isn't just sitting down for the 6 o'clock news anymore. It doesn't work that way anymore. As you see things through your feeds and you engage them as being pretty good to talk about, we gather them, we collect them, we polish them up, we put them into a presentation that's fairly good. Presentation was good today. The sponsor was bad today, and give them to you so you know what stories people are really chit-chatting about. And we're proud to do that. Follow us on our feed so we can keep doing that. Follow us at our website and find more ways that you can help us out to keep doing things, including the sponsors page and the partners page. Follow us wherever you want to follow us. We have links to all the different ways that we are out there engaging with you guys, including TikTok, including Facebook, including X. The most important thing you can do is, of course, follow the feeds. It costs you nothing. You're already on those sites anyway. And see what stories are worth talking about. Engage in them if you will. And of course, email us with what you want to talk about, comments, concerns, any complaints, then to that as well. The email address is this. Our email address is the conversation project. No, it's not. The conversation inbox at gmail.com. That is what the email address actually is. It is. It is. It's what the email address actually is. And it is an all done for this day, Monday, the 28th of October, 2024. Our show is in the books. The day's not in the books. We have a full day to get through and a full week to get through as we are today. Math in my head works out, I guess, 8 days away from the election. So we're not out of the woods yet. Still plenty of time to be spooky scared about those guys. And as I said earlier in the report, if you're undecided, I'm not sure what you're undecided about, but figure it out. Make sure you're registered. And if you're registered, go out there and get a vote in. Early voting is basically on pretty much everywhere. All 50 states should have early voting, if not by today, tomorrow. And if you have absentee ballots, you have a couple days to get it in the mail. Otherwise, get in line as early as you can. Come next Tuesday and vote in. I'm not asking you to vote for anyone in particular. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you to vote for who you think is going to actually do the best for us here, whether local or national. Your vote does count. Your word does matter. And it matters the most if you gather enough people who are like-minded to say what you want to say. That's my thoughts on voting. We'll talk more about that, obviously, throughout this weekend, throughout the year. Oh, and tomorrow, if I hit the right button tomorrow, I'll have a very special sponsor, very special promo that will go in line with the election and all the chit-chat we've had going forward. In the meantime, stay cool if it's hot today. Stay warm if it's cool today. And just be you. We love you all. We mean it very much. We'll do this again tomorrow for a Tuesday edition of things you might not have heard.